He's asking me to fill for 15 seconds, and I literally don't have anything. So I guess we'll just have,
Jay, you're a funny boy, Jay. And that was 15 seconds.
Sorry.
So I just figured I'd help finish the quote real quick.
Oh, no, I was trying to, but everything froze on my screen for a moment.
Oh, well, okay.
I didn't know where we were.
Yeah, it did for me too.
Okay.
I mean, we can keep this. Like, it's better than any other intro we're gonna do. Freeze and all.
No, that was hot garbage.
You're
like I said, than any other intro we'll do.
Touche.
Right here on the Hot Garbage Podcast.
Or the Fairly KickAss Podcast.
That's one. Yeah.
Let's do that one.
Potato.
Potato Bobot.
Welcome everyone to the Fairly KickAss Podcast. We got Zack, we got Jay, we got Dan, and we got the second installation of our SomeOnes episodes. The premise here is simple. We take a song that was number one on a chart, on any chart, literally any chart you can think of, in a random year that each of us are assigned before the show, and we talk about it. We do a presentation. We use that song to springboard into something else. We make it fun. We make it interesting. It was very interesting the first time we did it. I think all three of us went three completely different directions, and all of them were amazing.
I thought so.
And I have a feeling that this one is going to be no different. So just to kind of set the stage of who has what and when and where. Jay, you had, I believe, 1988, if memory serves.
Yep.
Dan coming in with 2004, and myself with 2023, which is probably about as fair of an order as we're going to get, I think. So yeah, we'll do it chronologically. Jay, if you wanted to kick us off, let us know what song you went with for 1988 and do the whole workup and the whole business.
Yeah, so I sort of, the last time we did this, the first time we did this, I should say, my tactic was to look for something that it hit number one, but became largely overlooked due to other things. And I rather enjoyed that tactic. But this time around, I went with one that is overlooked historically, but was not overlooked at the time. And that is Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer. It holds a lot of significance in 1988, not only because of its catchy riff and, let's face it, unforgettable music video, but for its impact at a pivotal moment in Robert's career. He was riding the wave of this like MTV era visuals, and he had this suave, image-driven persona. Let's face it, the guy was cute. But the song sort of became an anthem of bold, stylish rock. And it followed the massive success of Addicted to Love and showcased Palmer's continued ability to combine like really like heavy guitar-driven hooks with real sleek production, thrilling sonic and visual statements all over the place. And it resonated pretty deeply with both rock radio and pop audiences. On the charts, Simply Irresistible notably claimed the number one spot on the US Hot 100, like the mainstream rock tracks chart, and it stayed there for 3 weeks. It also soared to number 2 on the Hot 100. That's where it peaked. It narrowly missed the top position, held off by Sweet Child of Mine that week. It did much better in the UK, in Canada, in Australia, where it ended up at number 1. In Australia, it was number 2 for the entire year in its year-end rankings. It's a little bit lamentable that Simply Irresistible didn't hit number 1 on the Hot 100 here in the States, given that it had this immense popularity and an enduring legacy under the radar. It came real close to being a true ubiquitous smash. Even decades after its release, Simply Irresistible remains sort of a defining example of what late 80s pop rock swagger meant. It has a driving guitar riff, sharp rhythmic punch, and unapologetically glamorous aesthetic that have kept it alive in pop culture in commercials, film soundtracks, playlists celebrating the MTV era. It has that iconic music video with Palmer backed by a band of identically styled, expressionless women. It's been endlessly referenced and parodied cementing it as one of the most recognizable visuals of the decade. And more than just a hit single, Simply Irresistible stands as sort of a cultural touchstone, embodying the era's fusion of style and sound while continuing to influence how rock-infused pop is presented and remembered. So for that reason, that's the one I wanted to talk about.
Hell of a choice. Hell of a song. Hell of a, like you mentioned, the music video is just cool. It's just sleek as hell. But it's a music video fitting of a very cool and sleek and hip song.
And a great choice on that. And like you said, it's odd, but it's not the first song that we think of when you think of Robert Palmer, especially.
No,
especially this era.
Addicted to Love is the first one, right?
Exactly.
That's a number one.
And I completely argue that Simply Irresistible is a better song.
Agree, 1,000% agree.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I was ready to fight if we had to, but no. Okay.
No, that's the right take. I feel like it is I feel like compositionally it's a better song. I feel like it's a better song vocally. Not that Robert Palmer's really winning any vocal awards, and that's not this. It's just like not his bag. But like I just think he sounds better on Simply Irresistible.
Agreed.
Which and apologies if you mentioned it, Jay. Which chart did that hit number one on?
It hit number one in Australia. It hit number one in Canada. It hit number one in the UK. All of which fairly briefly, with the exception of Australia, where it wound up as number two on their year-end chart.
That's not bad. Honestly, that's really good.
And it did hit number two on the Hot 100 here. It hit number one on the mainstream rock chart.
Yes.
Right.
But only number two on the overall, which is really funny because it hit number one on the mainstream rock chart, but got beat out on the Hot 100 by Sweet Child of Mine.
How does that work?
Which should have been on the mainstream rock chart as well. I don't understand that, where that logic comes from.
Oh, I looked at, would it be, how ironic would it be that it hit number one on the pop chart?
Yeah.
But didn't catch. It peaked at, Sweet Child of Mine peaked at number 7 on the mainstream rock chart.
What?
Yeah, so I would love to see the metrics. Like, how does that play out in reality? Because I feel like that's Twilight Zone math.
That's wild. Yeah, get your shit together, Billboard, and or the listeners of 1988.
I mean, we've been saying that about both Billboard and the listeners of 1998 or 88. Damn, for quite a while.
Yeah. Exactly. And that is not to denigrate Sweet Child of Mine at all. It is a perfectly fine song from a perfectly wonderful record.
Absolutely.
Just doesn't make
the
any
math
damn
doesn't
sense.
math. Yeah.
Sometimes the math just no math. I'm with you.
Right.
But that is a really cool take on a really cool song. So thank you for that. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. When I was looking at the charts for that year, the ones that popped up on everybody's charts in 88 were Faith, George Michael, and I feel and like The Way You Make Me Feel pops up on a lot of them. Billy Ocean's Get Out of My Dreams. I almost talked about that one. That would have been fun. And I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff that came out that year, but the actual American Hot 100 was a bit bland. It was about 9 songs that had hit number one all year, 9 to 11, something like that. I didn't actually write that down, but there weren't very many. Which is why I looked elsewhere.
That's the thing. Kind of looking at. I was trying to remember the year of, 88, and look at the top selling singles up there. I mean, it's a very late 80s list, as you mentioned. Faith is a top 5. Need You Tonight, number 2. Got My Mind Set on You. George Harrison at number 3, and at number 4, Rick Astley and Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah, right.
That's almost the more, to me, like even I don't know if y'all experience the same thing, but just like the decision point of like which track to use, which song to go with, which charts to look at is almost, that journey is almost more interesting than the finished product, or at least as interesting.
Yeah.
Also, I guess I lied. There were quite a few songs that year, but that hit number one. It was kind of all over the place.
There were.
Yeah.
If we haven't done 88 as a re-rack, that'll be an interesting year, just looking at the ones that hit number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have to talk about Chicago, though.
No, I don't. I can comfortably slot them in at number 88 and move right on.
I was just going to say, how about Zack and I talk about Chicago and UB40 and let you handle Terrence Trent D'Arby?
That seems like a fair trade-off. I like that. I like that.
I would not have a problem talking about Wishing Well, though. That's the thing.
We actually did do 1988 back in May of 23.
Well, now I got to find my notes to see what I said about Chicago then.
Yeah, same.
It may not have made the actual year-end Hot 100 though.
I mean, this is fair.
It only
Right.
spent.
Oh, true. Very true.
It only spent 2 weeks at number one, and it was one of many songs that. I mean, it would be hard for me to believe that if it hit number one, it wouldn't have made the year-end chart. But I really don't remember.
I Don't Want to Live Without Your Love clocked in at number 48 on the year-end chart.
Okay.
So we at least would have ranked it. We may or may not have talked about it. I doubt that would have hit either of your top or bottom. It wouldn't have hit my top or bottom for sure. It probably would have been like right in the middle.
It is perfectly mid.
Yes.
I'm assuming though, Zach, the song you're about to talk about for 2004, is that what you said?
Oh, Dan has 2004.
Oh, Dan has 2004. Sorry, I had you guys inverted.
I do.
Oh, my God.
It was taking Excel forever to load up, but apparently I did in fact talk at length about Chicago since it was number 98 of the year for me.
Attaboy.
I will never not live the gimmick.
Fair enough.
And that's an ass song anyway. I'm not even gonna dispute that.
It deserved that one.
I'm gonna guess your 2004 selection is not, however, a terrible song. Although if my first SomeOnes is anything to believe, maybe it is a terrible song. Remains.
I don't think so. Which is also why hang with me because we're gonna tell you a story. So the thing here, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, because as we were talking about how to do this segment again, this is our second time, because we had to discuss it, because fourth wall break, we can't remember crap most of the time. And if it's more than like 2 days after from the last time we did a segment, we need a refresher on what the process is. The kind of thing that makes you think we really should start writing all this stuff down. Mm-hmm. But when we were discussing how to do this, you made the exact point that there are more charts to look at than just the Billboard Hot 100. And of course, when given an avenue to wander off the beaten path, I shall, because it's fun. Though I can sum up the Hot 100 in 2004 in 3 words. The reason, Usher. Confessions owned that year. Yeah, Burn, Confessions Part 2, my boo. The year just belonged to Usher. And, I mean, Hoop Escape was inescapable, unfortunately.
Hoop Escape?
And while Mr. Raymond is more than worthy of a re-review, which we already did that one in both our 2004 year-end re-rack and our one song on him, which you can find by just doing some scrolling down on your podcast app of choice, and you should. Listen now, boo me later. But instead, I would prefer to travel across the pond and tell you a little bit about a song and an artist that I myself would not have known about if it wasn't for Zack. So this one is really his fault. In an otherwise pedestrian year atop the UK chart that was dusted with a number of familiar hits to US audiences like Britney Spears' Toxic and Every Time, and Usher himself with, oddly enough, only Burn, the lead single off of U2's How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, Vertigo. And very sadly, both Amon's Fuck It and Frankie's response track, F You Right Back, which, you know what, hang on, quick sidebar here. UK, Amon was number 1 with that trash for a full month, guys. Frankie's slightly better, but still horribly cringy Clapback was 1 for like 3 weeks. What
are y'all doing?
What happened here? Are y'all okay? Was that all because of Tony Blair? I mean, it's okay if it was. I totally get it. But seriously, you guys need to talk. I'm here.
Those were dark times.
It's funny to them because I just stuck my nose in the webcam, but it's like the let's go to camera 1 effect doesn't work on audio, but whatever. Visual jokes work really well in the podcast. But through all of that, for 1 week, at the end of July 2004, the UK charts got even more maudlin in the most lo-fi of manners, giving garage hip-hop a moment in the sun and giving Mike Skinner his only number 1 single off his first number 1 record. Tonight, I bring to you The Streets and Dry Your Eyes. Firstly, numbers. Dry Your Eyes reached the number one spot in the UK for the week of July 31st, 2004, and was top of the pops in Ireland for 3 weeks in July and August. It also went on to be top 5 in Austria, top 15 in the Netherlands and New Zealand, top 25 in Sweden. Sadly, though, nothing here in the US. I kind of missed the boat on the streets there. But the track itself was a slow, string-laden, string-framed breakup song. But it takes a unique track of delivering the breakup in real time, instead of harping on the reflections of a relationship already gone. Skinner isn't drunk at a bar talking about how she done him wrong. He isn't lashing out in anger, trying to tell himself that he never meant everything he said to her and fuck her anyway. He isn't sitting alone in his apartment, staring at the empty side of the bed and wallowing in the loneliness and trying to work up the fortitude to start moving on. He sets a scene for us, and that scene is seconds after she's told him she thinks they should see other people. The protagonist of the song is a man with his head spinning from the blow of the breakup as it happens and trying like hell to find the words to change what she had just said. The lyrics are raw and only grow in desperation as he realizes that nothing he says is going to convince her to stay. They are over. And the chaos of that first stage of grief is being laid bare. It could easily be a very difficult listen if you've just gone through something similar. And as he continues spiraling in the verses, here comes the chorus. And another voice interjects. Maybe it's a little voice in the back of his head that's sort of the voice of reality. Maybe it's his friend later on trying to pick his mate up as he's recounting the breakup over a pint. But it is kind of generic advice that you tell someone who's just gotten out of the relationship, words to try to pull them back from the abyss and help push them back on their feet. But they're also words that rarely provide that comfort right then and there. It's the first thing that comes to mind. I know it's hard to take, but her mind has been made up. There's plenty more fish in the sea. I know you want to make her see how much this pain hurts, but you've got to walk away. The chorus is trying to help, but by using that language and also admitting that right then and there aren't words that are going to make him feel better. And he's going to feel like crap for a hot minute here before finding a way back to a better place and moving on. I get that not everyone's going to agree with my assessment of that, but the writing here is brilliant in its method of taking on the situation because these verses are voyeuristic. Like we're watching like a couple implode on the street. Like we're sitting at this out at a table in the cafe on the street, and this drama is happening as it passes by us. But you can't look away. It is the car crash effect. And it feels like it's designed that way. Skinner's flow here is, well, not really here. He varies his speed to fit the emotion instead of kind of pushing to stick to a form. He doesn't really come off the beat, but that's the only thing that stays bog standard. His verses aren't meant to fit a rhyming structure. We're getting a pure stream of consciousness to tell the story of the breakup in real time. Another method that helps make Dry Your Eyes more powerful and realistic. Now, an argument could be made that the production kind of undermines the story being told because it does feel over the top. Like the strings sound great in the intro, and of course throughout, but it's the sappy soundtrack added to the climax of a romantic movie. And sure, there is that element in play, but why is that the trope that gets used in those situations? Because it works. Those string runs are the vehicles for the emotions that are meant to hit you in the chest in the verses, and they're a tried and true thing. I refer to this album way too much, but go back to Frank Sinatra and In the Wee Small Hours. And that's exactly what it is. And the string runs throughout the orchestration of that album kind of helps frame all of the emotions in Sinatra's singing. And I think there's one final point to make about those verses, and it also leaves the listener some space to ruminate on the relationship that we've just watched dissolve and where these emotions are all coming from in our protagonist. This is a breakup song, and there's no questioning that. But it's a breakup song about a love ending that doesn't mention the concept once. Skinner never even says the word love once, leaving us to wonder if that's the loss being mourned or if there's more of a codependency at play here, and where this story came from within Skinner himself. It's the long way of saying that there's a lot going on in the construction of this song, and there are a lot of aspects pointing to this being more than just your run-of-the-mill breakup song. With all that being said, Dry Your Eyes found its way around to most of the world, ranking 19 on Triple J's Hottest 100 of 2004. That is a list from Down Under. And NME placed it at number 87 on their 150 best tracks the past 15 years that they built in 2011. For me, it was my gateway into the streets, and I still find a way to work this into relatively common rotation, along with a lot more of his work, no doubt. But, I mean, I'm an emotional masochist and relatively dead inside. I'll instead give Tony Naylor of NME the final words to help describe it, what he called Dry Your Eyes, a quote, hairs on the back of your neck ballad for jilted lovers, and rarely has Skinner sounded so vulnerable, poignant, and, well, normal.
As many times as I've heard this song, and obviously you mentioned how I kind of got you into the song and to the streets in general. Not once did I really make the jump of, obviously, like you said, this is a breakup song. There's really no other way to paint that, but never did I think about the timing of the song, of like placing yourself as like sort of a fly on the wall of this happening, literally, like you said, in real time. This is, this is not after the fact. This isn't like a week later or 2 months later. This is in real time. And that is such a unique way to tell this story, because at that point it's not a story, it's just Mike's telling of what is happening in that moment. There's no embellishment. There certainly is some layer of bias, as there would be for any of us, but yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'd really like to hear the other side of this story way more than I'd like to hear fuck you right back, if I had to choose between the two.
And in saying that, another concept possibility just came to me is that Skinner's not telling an autobiographical story here. He's the guy in the chorus, having just watched this himself, and he's telling us this story, and then jumps in to sing to the dude. Maybe a friend, may just be some guy on the street who feels bad for a dude he just watched get his heart broken.
That's really
maybe
interesting way to look at it, yeah.
We're not the voyeurs. Maybe he was the voyeurs. Well, I guess making us the voyeurs with him too.
Yeah, I could see, I just kind of reading through the lyrics, I could absolutely see the vantage point of the narrator, protagonist, whatever you want to call Skinner in this minute, and us as an extension of that, like being either one of those or both of them. There's nothing that says that it's not, I think you alluded to this too, like Mike's outward telling of what's going on and his inner monologue perhaps being the chorus.
Yeah.
So many layers to this. So many layers to that whole album, which obviously we don't have nearly enough time to dissect. But yeah, this is such a really, really cool gut punch of a track.
And because we talked about how we got there a little bit too, that was the thing. Like I had looked at the US charts and went, I mean, we've done this and not really interested in this, and let's see what the UK did, and just kind of ran down the list, got really disappointed about April and May, and then got to July and went, that's it. That's the song.
Did you, I know that Jay had mentioned some others that he almost went with, or at least kind of courted the idea. Were there any others that you thought and looked at like, this could be it, I might be able to work this in, or was it literally Dry Your Eyes? As soon as that was it, it was mic drop. It's we're on to writing.
Before I went to, weirdly enough, I had a theme in mind apparently without even realizing I did. Because before I looked at it, I kind of went back. I saw so much Usher, I went back to my notes on one song and I went, no one touched on Burn, and I think I could do something interesting there. It has a very similar structure and subject matter, but then I got to the streets. I'm like, I can knock this one out, no problem. Thought way too much about this song.
Yeah, I feel like either one of us could probably just riff without notes for at least a good 5 minutes on that topic.
And we've probably listened to it that we also could probably just do the whole song straight through.
Oh, guaranteed.
That would be sad on multiple levels.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why that's... Dry Your Eyes is not what you'd call a karaoke classic, mind you. That's not what it's for. Although that would be the way to kind of kill the room, wouldn't it?
Everyone in the bar instantly looks quizzical.
Right. Oh, I've done those, but it wasn't a song like I was trying to legitimately do a song, and it was just that bad. And I went, what the fuck is that noise?
Or you did Tenacious D and everybody was like, okay.
Yeah, that often was the case is how we would do that. But we'd hit the harmony at the end, and then everyone was along, was with us.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Like those sheriff's deputies were at the gas station that one night. That's a story for another time. But right now, I'd like to hear Zach's story.
I wish that I had something better, honestly. I have a lot of a thing, as we kind of talked about right before the show. I have a lot of thing written, but I don't really like it. And I had actually part of a good chunk of a different thing written before I scrapped that thing, which I'll talk about it towards the end. But 2023 was unexpectedly, or perhaps exactly expectedly, limiting. You mentioned your 3 words, Dan, being Usher and The Reason, I think were the other 2, unfortunately. I also have 3 words that severely limited the scope of what I could draw off of for 2023. And my 3 words were Morgan fucking Wallen. He was all over the major Billboard charts, as well as the charts of every single country in existence, on the wings of the success of his 3rd studio album, One Thing at a Time. Which sucks for me because as much as I love a bit, as all of you know, I could not bring myself to do a Morgan Wallen bit. I just couldn't. There were a couple of other choices at the top. Miley Cyrus comes to mind with her critically acclaimed and deservedly so album Flowers, but nothing really grabbed me at all. Full stop. So we had to get a little creative. I would like to introduce at least some of you, maybe some of you are aware of it, to the Billboard Twitter real-time chart. This is actually a thing that exists. It was originally made up of a number of other charts, the Trending 140, Weekly Top Tracks, a couple of others, was revamped as the Emerging Artists chart, and then further revamped as the Hot Trending Songs chart. Charts, actually, I would like to say, one being for weekly songs and one being real time. As far as I could tell, this chart was updated based on the Twitter traffic that any artist or any track was being given at any specific point in time. That may sound like a terrible idea to you, because it is. That iteration of the chart lasted until 2023. So we are talking one of the last songs, not the very last song. That honor goes to One More Time by Blink-182. Almost fitting in a way. Yeah. Also, that song is 2 years old now. So where did the last 2 years go? I don't have a good answer to that. But what I do have is a track that did hit number 1 on that singular solitary chart. And that was If Darkness Had a Sun. One of the singles, one of the 2 or 3 singles, I believe, that were released off of the 2023 album 72 Seasons from the band Metallica. It was released about a month ahead of the album. It actually debuted at number 1 on that chart. I don't know what the criteria are. I'm not going to look at it. I don't care that much. So if any of y'all want to know, Wikipedia is there. I'm sure will tell you something. But the important thing was it was eligible for this episode as being number 1 on a chart. It's a decent track. It's not the best Metallica song ever by a wide margin. And thus, it was going to be really, really hard to talk about it at length. But considering the alternatives were Morgan Wallen, we worked with what we had. So I started to think of what I could do. And I started to wonder about Metallica being a very not single-driven band. Never has been, never will be, but has more been a very album-driven band. And it made me wonder, like, as we look at albums and really look at the kind of shift between albums to singles, and really just from singles as a official designation to just songs that people listen to on whatever device or source they listen to them on, it made me wonder, like, why are we judging them as albums in the first place? Like, maybe we just put that concept to bed, but give it kind of one last hurrah. And with Metallica being such an album-driven band, maybe we make the Metallica album and then call it a day. And then after that, no more albums. Everything else is just a song that gets released by the band and by every other band. It's a terrible idea. I'm not gonna lie. I already hate it just talking about it, but again, we're in for a penny. So that is what I did. Our newly created Metallica album is less greatest hits and more just contiguous work. It's analyzed, it's curated, it's ordered with care. It consists of, and this is kind of the big part, it consists of one song and only one song from each of Metallica's actual real albums, from Kill 'Em all the way up to the aforementioned 72 Seasons. Some are the best songs on the album, as far as I think, and others are slotting in because they fit well within the confines of the larger album that we're creating. If a song is awesome but just doesn't work in this concept, then it stays home. So here is my best effort at a Metallic album. No, a Metalbumica. That's not it. We'll figure it out as we go. Let's start with track number 1, The Four Horsemen, from the debut Kill 'Em All. Not the debut track from the debut album Kill 'Em All. That was Hit the Lights, which is a great track in and of itself. But it really, to me, didn't fit the motif and the spirit of what that intro track should be, which is an introduction to the band. Hit the Lights is an introduction to Metallica, but it's too on the nose as an introduction. It kind of tells you like, hey, we're Metallica. We just showed up. What's up? What's good? The Four Horsemen is Metallica. They don't have to tell you that this is who they are. They show you that this is who they are. So that is why I picked that as number 1. By the way, we usually do this as like a kind of presentation. The person just rattles off and everyone else kind of saves their discussion till the end. But for Jay and Dan, if y'all want to interject throughout this list, feel free. Don't let me stop you from jumping in at any point.
No, you're good.
Totally agree. Yeah, I'm with you here so far.
Okay. Track 2. Sandwiched right between Kill 'Em All and 72 Seasons, dropping in mid-2003, we do have to do Saint Anger as a part of this. It is a requirement of the assignment, even though we did a whole podcast episode about us being too hard on the album as a whole. Spoiler alert, we weren't. It's terrible. But I ended up going with My World. It is decent-ish. It's about as good as it's going to get for that album. It's inoffensive. The drums are not as drummed, which is a big selling point. And what's important is we get it out of the way early. It's done. It's over with. We don't have to think about Saint Anger for the rest of this entire process.
I like that.
I'm trying to remember the song, and I can't. It doesn't separate from the rest of the album.
That's the correct answer.
Okay.
But we move on to a bit of a palate cleanser at number 3, and we also move into our first ballad, which is Mama Said from 1996's Load. It's an introspective track, much like a lot of Saint Anger was very introspective to a lot of the addiction issues that James Hetfield was going through. Mama Said, introspective in a different way, discussing James's relationship with his mother, Cynthia Bassett, who died of cancer when James was 16. It's a beautiful, somber song. It's almost like a country ballad in nature, and it provides the perfect come down after the 1-2 punch of the first 2 tracks. If we were looking at alternatives off of Load, Hero of the Day would have slotted in really well, I think, but I did end up going with the softer track.
Okay.
Along that same line, Until It Sleeps would work there too.
Yeah, that's
100%.
the one I was thinking. Until It Sleeps would have worked there, but I think what Mama Said or Until It Sleeps would have been.
Yeah.
I could see Until It Sleeps. I think it's maybe a little hard just for what I was going for in that slot, but I wouldn't hate it at all on the album as a whole.
Okay.
So after 3 comes 4, and after Mama Said comes The Day That Never Comes off of 2008's Death Magnetic. Lyrically, the song speaks of strife and abuse. I haven't been able to corroborate this necessarily, but everything that I would read kind of speaks to the strained relationship between a father and a son, perhaps a general father and son, and perhaps someone more specific to the band itself. it was a really cool kind of mini theme between Mama Said and, assuming that The Day That Never Comes is about a father-son relationship, kind of getting both of the parental sides in that, and kind of the first of a few mini themes that then end up on this Metallica album.
If you're waiting for arguments for or against on that one, you're not going to get one. I love that song.
No, I was just pausing to
Oh, okay.
for the sake of pausing, but yeah, no, I'm curious what y'all think of all these, but I didn't think either of you would like this song, to be totally honest. So that's interesting.
I like Death Magnetic. It's a good record.
Very nice. Well, do you like Hardwired to Self-Destruct as well?
Nope.
Because that's where our number 5 song comes from. It is Moth into Flame. Maybe not quite as thrashy as some of the earlier works, but certainly far closer to that sound than anything off of their prior few albums at that point. Death Magnetic being one of them, in fact. We're back to the kind of stereotypical Metallica lengthy solo, and honestly, we're better for it. For extra credit, check out the performance of this song with Lady Gaga, of all people, at the 2017 Grammys, which absolutely rocked. I still am waiting for the Lady Gaga metal album. And I will keep waiting until the day that she tells me she's not doing it. We get to the middle track of the Metallica album, and just like a live performance, we get a little bit of an intermission of sorts. At number 6, from Master of Puppets, is Orion, an 8-minute and change instrumental. Go use the restroom, refill the bev, grab a snack or two while this plays in the background. And pay special attention to the bit starting at 3 minutes and 58 seconds, because it's by far the best part of the song. That middle bit is super, super good.
I was going to say, I don't think you could have had a misfire on that record, but I completely agree.
Yeah.
Coming out of our interlude at number 7 is the fire starter of this whole thing, being If Darkness Had a Sun. It's an interesting kind of drum forward track that leads into a more modern sound for Metallica as a whole. Everything's a bit slower and more muted, but not in like the ballad sense, but just more so in the like down tempo sense, which is an interesting take for the band to have. It's not necessarily strong enough to be in one of the more coveted spots on the album. To me, like one of the first 2 tracks, although again, Saint Anger was there, so I kind of shot my own explanation in the foot. And certainly not strong enough to anchor the album at the back. But it feels good at number 8. It really does. Or sorry, at number 7 rather, because I know how to count. No, instead, number 8 and number 9 actually going to get lumped together here as we dive into The Unforgiven off of the self-titled album, or the Black Album if you fancy, and The Unforgiven 2, the sequel to the track from 1997's Reload. There was not an Unforgiven 3. That song was never released, and you cannot convince me otherwise. We get a little bit of a story here with the Unforgivens, I guess more of an allegory from a literary standpoint, kind of weaving through topics of religion and isolation and love. It's still Metallica, so let's tamp down our expectations a little bit from the storytelling standpoint. But the imagery is pretty cool, and the two songs sound great back to back. We move on to number 10, the next to last track on our New Old album. And we have another little mini theme to kind of finish us off. Serving in the same spot as the next to last track on 1988's And Justice for All, the track To Live Is to Die is absolutely wonderful. It is a beautiful song in a vacuum, and it is also a beautiful song as a fitting tribute to Cliff Burton, the original Metallica bassist who passed away in a bus accident in 1986. The song itself being made up largely of some of Cliff's unused recordings, and it is fantastic. And it moves us to the big finale, number 11 out of 11. For those keeping score at home, the last album that I did not cover is Ride the Lightning, and you can probably guess that the track off of that album is going to be Fade to Black. We started with the quintessential Metallica kind of quick thrashy track, and we end with the quintessential Metallica ballad. The lyrics are heavy, and the song itself is sweeping and epic, and it just is very representative of, I feel like, what Metallica is, and has been for, 40 plus years now. So there you go. A great ending track to a great Metallica album made up of Metallica songs, all performed by Metallica.
I like it.
I'm for it. Let's do it.
My other idea was to assign a song to every Barbie character from Barbie the movie, on the heels of Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For. which was an idea that I really, really liked, but there was no possible way that was going to be a quick, painless effort. Not that this was, but at least it was a little bit easier than that would have been.
It's only the only pain involved with this effort was Saint Anger.
Yes.
Yes.
And apparently Unforgiven 3.
Was that? I don't think they did a third one.
Oh, right. Sorry.
I did listen to it because I wanted to be sure before I shat on it that it was as bad as I remembered. Yes, 100% it is.
It's not great, but so here's the thing. At least he doesn't squeeze the words Unforgiven 3 into the actual lyrics of the song, which happens in Unforgiven 2, by the way.
Yes, it does. It's cheese. It's so cheese.
Right.
But at least it makes somewhat sense because, 2 is still a word that works in a sentence there. It's a lot harder to find a way to work 3 naturally into a sentence like that.
Right. Sure, but time frame wise, we're talking 2008 here, so like he could have been like watching a lot of Fast and the Furious films and felt like he could fit 3 Fast, 3 Furious. Sweet. Let's do this.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him. Don't say that.
No, I was going to say, that's why I was like, I feel like someone probably had to shoot that idea down in the writing room.
Yeah. Oh.
Nobody puts Lars in a corner. If he comes up with a thing, you're doing it.
You're doing it.
Yeah, that's why we got donk, 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 donk. The only thing I will say is I am glad, but, for the effect's sake, I feel like you did miss one opportunity.
What's that?
And you didn't have a song from Lulu, and you really should have had The View. If for no other reason for, I am the table! And that's really all I wanted to throw out there.
For fuck's sake. That thought did cross my mind of having... of getting Lulu in there, of getting, it's a covers album, but getting like S&M in there, getting like some of the Garage Days revisited stuff. Getting the track I completely forgot about with Ja Rule.
That didn't happen.
It was, imagine that on anything that would enter your eardrums. Not great.
Nope, not giving that the time of the day.
I think we got ourselves a show.
Think so too.
I think it turned out well. This, again, being the second time that we've done SomeOnes. There are only so many years for us to do. So let us know if there are any years in particular that you are interested in, or if you think this whole idea is just a bunch of rubbish and you just want to throw it in the bin. Completely valid. We will take those opinions under consideration.
The concept or the show?
Yes. Someone tells us on social media that like this ain't it, we're packing it in.
Yeah, we get it. We were thinking that too, but it's good to hear from somebody else, I suppose.
Right. We can always transition back to our sports podcast if we need a fallback plan. Yeah,
we could do that.
But yeah, let us know, listeners, what you thought on all the places. Fairly Kickass on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. fairlykickass@gmail.com for your email correspondence. fairlykickass.com for your web correspondence. And anywhere where you are listening to this podcast, you can listen to the Fairly Kickass podcast there as well. Just search for Fairly Kickass. You will find us. You may not find us. I might have lied to you. In the off chance I did lie to you, please let us know, and we will make sure to rectify that to get on your platform of choice so my lies can become truths, and you can, in fact, find the Fairly Kickass podcast where you want to find it.
I mean, if there is something that this podcast is full of, it is truthiness.
We are so truthy.